Welcome to Comfortable Licks with Sean Daniel, where the only thing more comfy than the licks is your mom's new boyfriend thinking he's part of the family after one Thanksgiving. So what says comfort like coming home? So today we're going to talk about going from maybe like a dominant 7 chord into the home key, and the lick we're going to use to demonstrate is going to sound like this. Really simple, kind of just working our way through a scale or a chord, however you want to look at it, but basically in any key, there is a home bass, okay? And the example we're going to use today is going to be in the key of G, all right? So no matter what other chords you use in the key of G, it's always going to sound good when you come home. And usually one of the best ways, one of the most traditional ways to create a feeling of being away from something so you can come back is to go to the 5 chord, the dominant 7 chord. So in the key of G, if you play a dominant 7, a D7, that's going to resolve home, okay? So this is a really classic chord voicing right here, just 2E, 1B, 2G, open D, right into G major. So whatever you're doing in any of the chords in G, G, E minor, A minor, D7, you're always going to come home to that G major chord, okay? Now we're gonna actually do an example kind of in a little more into the fretboard using maybe like a shape. So instead of using this open voiced D7 that maybe you've already used, we're gonna use a string rooted bar chord voicing, and it's gonna look like this. All right, so I've got 5A with my pointer finger, 7D, my pointer finger is barring this. Now you don't have to bar this to actually play the lick, but I just wanna kinda go over this really quickly. So your pointer finger is grabbing 5A and 5G, ring finger's on 7D, your pinky is on 7B, and then optionally, you can have the 5th fret on the high E string too, right? So, or a bar chord G. All right, now again, the lick that we're gonna use is gonna sound like. So we're gonna take a little bit of that chord voicing, just a piece of it. And basically what we're gonna focus on is gonna be 7D, 5G, and 7B. So you can actually use this as like a substitute for part of a dominant 7 chord. In fact, you can just play that as a chord and then end up on this 5D, 4G, 3B, G chord. So really we don't have to use bar chords. We can kind of just use these little pieces of other chords to kind of get the same feeling. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start on this A note, the 7th fret of the D string. And we're going to go through however you want to look at it. You can think of this as an arpeggio of this chord voicing. You can think of this as part of maybe the Dorian mode shape. But we're going to go 7D, 5G, 5B to 7B, to 5E, back to 7B. So that's the first part we're gonna do. Just like that, all right? You can kind of rake it with your pick. However you wanna play it. And then after you do that, we're gonna grab double stops through the G major scale. If you look at that major scale, you know the last 5 notes on those 2 strings look like this. So we're gonna go 5, B and E, 3, B and E, back to 5, B and E, and then finally end home, comfortable, nice and comfy, all right? So again, we're gonna start kind of playing through this dominant 7 shape. And always is a fitting end, a fitting resolution, a comfortable way to get home. Now, you don't have to do it just like this. There's a lot of things you can do instead. If you don't want to do just kind of like the lick part, you can just play it as a chord. But all of these spots will always be the same no matter what key you're in. If you're in the key of A, all right? We can always just take the first note. All of these are movable shapes. The way that I maybe choose to remember this is like if I have a root note, wherever it is, I'll take the octave of that. So here's my low G, 3E. 5D would be the octave of that. Slide that 2 frets higher. So no matter where you're at, you could do something in the key of C. All right, there's the octave. And so it's gonna line up after you do that little run. Double stops. In fact, you could just do the double stops if you want. Again, the cool thing about licks is you can incorporate little pieces of them, the whole thing, you could add on to them, however you want to do it. But I think that kind of thing just adds a little bit of, I don't want to say tension, but it's just something different that is setting you up to go home, all right? So even if you just did that, like let's do another progression in the key of A major, right? So we don't even have to use the bar chords, we can just use the open chords, but we're gonna think that we're gonna cut that part out, we're just gonna use those double stops to end on an A, all right? So let's take like a 1, 4, 3 progression in A. So it'd be A major, D major, C sharp minor. There's a C minor. Okay, so I went from that C minor, I just knew those double stops were there, and I know that those would always lead me back home. So it's all about just kind of making a roadmap out of these things, finding stuff that you like. It doesn't have to be this exact lick, but that's kind of a cool one. It's easy because you're in, you know, a similar space that you're not really reaching all over the place for. But yeah, make a roadmap, find some of your favorite tricks to get to certain chords. It doesn't even always have to be home. It can go to like maybe like a chord that you gravitate a little more towards. But it's just a good example of maybe taking one kind of dominant 7 chord voicing, adding it with some double stops, and then finding a nice, comfortable way home. So if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.